On my own experience at the CIA, there's very little daylight between the CIA and the FBI. You know,
We're gonna
the
get into it,
CIA
guys. We're gonna
said
get
there
into it.
was no torture program. That was a lie. No international renditions. That was a lie. No secret prisons. That was a lie.
Yeah.
MK Ultra documents were all
No
released.
secret
That was a
prisons.
lie. The CIA didn't try to recruit Oswald. That's a lie. These organizations that make up the so-called deep state, and we can have that debate whether or not you want to call it the deep state, but they all lie. They're trained to lie. And so I don't even think that we should blame the likes of Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. I think people probably at a lower level destroyed whatever they could destroy and let the lie go up to the very top and hope that this whole thing just goes away. If there are no documents to implicate famous people, then it'll eventually go quiet. And my guess is in 30 years or 50 years or whenever it's going to be, at least some of the truth will probably be released.
Adam Mockler, I mean, it does stick in the gullet, doesn't it, that the only person to go to prison and the whole Epstein scandal is a woman.
Yeah, well, John said he thinks the people at the bottom might have destroyed the evidence, but the reality is the people at the top, like Pam Bondi, were the ones saying they had the list sitting on their desk. So it seems like that deep state you referred to, the party that promised to defeat the deep state, very quickly became the deep state. Here's the timeline in my eyes. Pam Bondi says, I have the list on my desk right here. They're rather silent for a few months. Then Elon Musk says Trump is in the Epstein list. Then within weeks, apparently the list is gone. I mean, I'm looking at this photo of Jack Posobiec holding up the Epstein files. It says the Epstein files, phase 1. But where's phase 2? There's no phase 2. So I'm happy that influencers like Jack are admitting they were conned by the admin to cover up the sexual abuse of children.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy about some of these guys who are hardcore Trumpers and stuff like that. Oh, Trump can never, it's never Trump that's the one that's holding this stuff back. It's always some pedophile elitists that are above Trump that's like, no, you can't. We're withholding these documents and they're controlling Trump and they have. No. Let's look at the Trump administration. Let's look at the people at the top, right? Let's look at Trump. Let's look at Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi was talking about how I had the Epstein files right in my lap. I had them printed out and hung on my wall. I read everything. And we're going to release some crazy information. And then the FBI and the DOJ come out and say, oh, you know what? Actually, there's never was a list. We don't have it. It didn't exist. And it's interesting how these people want to deflect all this stuff to, you know what? It must be some like mythical figure, some mythical pedophile that's running the entire world, and he just decided to just burn all the documents down, and it has nothing to do with Donald Trump being on the Epstein list, even though there's substantial evidence to substantiate that claim. I mean, the guy, we can go on and on about how Jeffrey Epstein was like, oh, Donald Trump's my best friend. We were best buddies. There's a collage of photos of him and Jeffrey Epstein with several women of age ranges we don't know, all over the internet. You guys can go look this stuff up. He met Melania on his pedo plane. And then this guy's like, he has like 20 to 30 sexual allegations. As much as I hate, because there's this whole thing with the Me Too movement where they're radicalizing it. They're trying to weaponize that shit and everybody's a rapist now. Like, no, this guy Trump has all the characteristics. I mean, the introduction to Trump was the Access Hollywood tape, right? I grab him by the pussy whenever I want. I go into when he was in Miss Universe, he used to go into the lockers and the girls would be like, what the fuck is this guy doing in the back? We're half naked. Like, what's he doing in the back? Oh, I own the show. I'm Mr. Universe. And by the way, what Piers was talking about earlier was so interesting because the only person that's so far been arrested over their connection with Jeffrey Epstein was Ghislaine Maxwell, right? So she's essentially a Mossad agent, and all these people are, you guys know the deal. So there's an interesting connection, guys, that one of this some guy in X actually posted, and everybody's like reposting, like, oh wow, we didn't know that. Oh, we didn't know the connections run deep here, man. So Anthony Blinken, former U.S. Secretary of State, was the stepson of Samuel Pissar, which is the lawyer of Robert Maxwell, lawyer and confidant, which is the father of Ghislaine Maxwell, which is an accomplice of Jeffrey Epstein. Oh my God. And then people sit here and still want to sit here and look at you with a straight face and be like, no, the Mossad has nothing to do with that. They didn't use Jeffrey Epstein to blackmail all these politicians, including Trump.
Yeah, Jack, I mean, do you feel angry? Do you feel you were used in some way?
Well, it's something. It's very upsetting. It's extremely upsetting to be brought in something like this, to think that you're going into a situation where, hey, we're finally going to get some of these answers that we all want. Because at the end of the day, this is all about getting justice for the victims here, the actual victims. And I keep going back and looking over the different pieces of this story. You know, what was Prince Andrew disgraced for? Why did he go up on this huge interview and then lose all of his titles and all that? And he's losing his security now, I hear. And, you know, why did we go all the way around, you know, name after name after name? But at the end of the day, it's actually about the victims. And do you really mean to tell me that all of those victims were questioned and all of the things that they said were investigated and were run down? Because it just doesn't really feel like that's been done here.
It doesn't. Talking of Elon Musk, Brian, just to bring you in again here. So Musk is now simultaneous to all this. Obviously, this flame out with Trump is gathering momentum. He's now announced the launch of a new political party, the America Party. You know, third parties have had, you know, a few instances in modern American history. They never tend to get very far, but we've never had the richest and most successful businessman in history launching one who's got $300 billion and happens to own one of the biggest social media platforms on which he has 200 million followers. He's not just your average third-party guy, is he? How interesting is this, and how damaging could this be, particularly to Donald Trump and the Republicans?
I think it certainly hurts Republicans and Donald Trump more than Democrats. But I would also say what you mentioned, this is the richest man in the world. With money comes a lot of power. This has been tried in the past many a times, but it hasn't been tried with someone with the money and the power that Elon Musk has. But I think the question we need to ask ourselves now is this just another phase that Elon Musk is going through? And then when this blows over, if it ever does, between him and Donald Trump, will he just move on? Or is he really, truly serious about this? You know, there are a lot of people that didn't think that he was ever going to buy Twitter, now X, and he ended up doing that. So, you know, will he do this? Will he continue this? And in 6 months from now, will we still be talking about this? I would venture to guess probably so. It sounds to me like Elon Musk is serious, and this will be very damning, in my opinion, to plenty of MAGA Republicans out there.
Yeah, and Adam, what this all seems to center around is that he was brought in, obviously, to run Doge, to reduce government overspending and waste. And at the same time, Trump was launching the big, beautiful bill, which many people think is going to add trillions to the debt. The two were clearly incompatible bedfellows. And that's led to Musk going. Now, Trump talks about EV car mandates being one of the catalysts for the falling out or whatever. But it's probably as simple as one person wanted to slash government spending and the other one wanted to bring in policies which are highly likely, certainly in the short to midterm, to increase the national spending and debt. So there's the clash. How serious do you think this is going to get?
Now, you know what? With Elon Musk, by the way, guys, is him and Doge. They've been responsible, guys, for hundreds of thousands of deaths that are, really not talked about as much, because he ended up slashing Meals on Wheels, FEMA, all these programs that were helping starving children in Sudan and all these other countries, guys. They slashed Medicare. They slashed the air traffic controllers. That's why there was like 7-8 plane crashes that occurred this year under the Trump administration. This guy was an absolute disaster. Like Elon Musk is a sick motherfucker. And then after he killed all his people, he went and funded like this whole thing where, oh my God, there's this white genocide happening in South Africa, and we have to, evacuate all the people in South Africa. The farmers are getting killed left and right. Hey, maybe this will combat what's going on, with the whole Free Palestine thing. Like, no, we're not buying it. Get the fuck out of here, man. I'm so glad, and one thing that Trump did, I'm going to give him credit for, is getting rid of that sick son of a bitch. Okay, Elon Musk is absolutely disgusting. The amount of people Doge was responsible for the suffering was incomparable. I mean, like, look at the situation in Texas, right? There was I think over 100 people died. They didn't have the they took out the what do you call them, the people that work in the city that like warn people like about the weather changes and stuff like that so they can evacuate early, right? They laid those guys off. I mean, these people were really doing some fucking damage. So, and then Trump, he introduces his big beautiful bill and he's like, okay, you know what, we're gonna go to slash Medicare, 10 million people off of Medicare. You know, it doesn't matter because 1.2 million. What did they say? They keep changing the number. They're like, oh, it doesn't matter because they were all illegal immigrants anyways. What? And then they did some report and they're like, if there were like illegal immigrants on the Medicare shit, it was probably not more than 500,000. So you just slashed 9.5 million people, American people's Medicare. So I guess like to him, immigrant means like it could mean like poor people. It could mean anyone that's not considered what he would consider an American based on, you know, phenotype. So we don't know what the fuck this guy was saying. He's like, oh, they're all illegal immigrants. Who cares? We got to fund. What did he add? He had like $4 trillion to military spending. 60% of it is going to go to regime change. Like, yeah. They could all kiss my ass, and the reason they're not releasing Trump, the Epstein files, is because obviously Trump's on the list. There's no other explanation. Anyone that has any other, you know, and hey, who knows, man? There might be something imminent. Elon Musk, because you gotta think, guys, because Elon Musk he didn't just get kicked off of the Trump administration. They beat his ass. Like the guy was bruised up. They humiliated the guy. They released information that this guy's a drug addict. I mean, they did some damage on his ass. This guy got a lot of money, right? So there might be something in him imminent that he's about to release that's gonna be explosive, right? Anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.